Now we will hear them from those founders themselves who are leading this change. Please welcome Ketan Merchant, Interim CEO, Fino Payments Bank, and Priyesh Ranjan, CEO, Valura.Ai. Welcome everyone, and also requesting Anilesh Mahajan, Senior Deputy Editor at India Today, to moderate this session.
Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. During the day, we have already talked about the impact of technology impacting the stock markets. We have already discussed some of the issues related to the stability of the economy. Now we are getting into the real game, how monies flow to the end user, and that can be amplified by using the AI. And we all understand India is in a transition mode. Every industry is opening up to this animal called AI, looking for avenues, looking for opportunities, and also trying to capture newer interest areas. And only thing which is not happening is that we are not afraid of AI. Ketan, welcome. Ketan Merchant is Interim CEO of Fino Bank, one of India's largest small bank. And we also have with us Priyesh Ranjan. His Valura.Ai has already rocked many people in UAE, and now he is setting up his business in his motherland. Welcome, Priyesh.
Thank you very much.
Priyesh, may I start with you only? India is a country of a lot of capital controls. And we understand that, there is a level of trust which regulators and organizations have on the consumers. This is a long battle. So we see tariff barrier as well as non-tariff barrier. In that space, how do you think that, technology can play a role? And secondly, what we need to do right to get onto this vehicle of AI and don't miss the journey?
That's a very pertinent question. Good afternoon, everybody. So we do a lot of cross-border. We are based in UAE. We are setting up shop in India. So I can say that the difficulties that the customer faces in moving money either ways, whether inbound or outbound to India, from India, is tremendously difficult. And it becomes even more difficult when you involve a corporate instead of an individual. Now, I'll answer this in two parts. One is, how can digitization work? And before that, I would like to say, why is this a problem? The biggest problem the reason why this is extremely difficult is the digitization levels at the bank level, where the processes have not been digitized properly yet. So if that has not been done and people still rely on manual forms to be filled and to be processed, it will continue to be very difficult, very expensive, and very time-taking to process cross-border transactions. That's first part. Now, how can technology, it will be done in two ways, and if we don't do this right, we will be left behind. The banks, on the one hand, will have to digitize the process. There is nothing can be built if it is not digitized. That's number one. The AI, on the other hand, will be able to solve this to a great extent, because they will do fraud detection much better than any human ever can. They can follow compliances much better in real time, meaning you can have OCRs done, you'll have agents who are trained on these kind of stuff. So while the customer is filling up forms, and these forms are very, very tedious, your agents will be able to prompt you what to fill, what mistakes are you making. Now this will reduce your TAT. A lot of times you would see, you try to send the money outside of India, you get stuck and you do not know what to fill here, and then you leave it open and then you never come back. So the TAT increases by many, many days. Imagine there is an AI agent which helps you right on the spot and tells you, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, this is what you should do, or this is a correction you should do. You can do that much, get the things digitized, and then you make the user experience good. So maybe in three buckets. First, digitize it. the KYC and the fraud detection gets corrected, then you make the user experience good and then optimize the forex rates, maybe have predictive models. So these are how the cross-border part can be solved using AI agents and the latest technologies.
Ketan, if I can broad base the question a bit, a decade ago when payment bank licenses were issued for the first time in India, people talked that, this instrument will help in streamlining and positioning the digitalization of the payment system in the country. But now we are seeing that, RBI is also tightening the norms and RBI's scrutiny has increased, so is Ministry of Finance's security. Do you think payment banks, need to now broad base a lot of things, and now they need to get into the cross-border, mode. Plus, they deploy many other things which, Prayesh is talking about. And since, these will be the RBI regulated entities doing it, reforms would happen, much quicker than, many of us pushing for it.
So it's a very interesting question. I have been asked this question since 2017-18, since I am here. What is the relevance of or larger purpose of payment banks? And I can just say it's not only Fino. I think a couple of other banks, payment banks have also done, massive impact. What is the intent was, he was talking about cross-border here, giving banking needs to every nook and corner of the country. There are two ways to do it off. One is just open a shop everywhere, which is not tenable for a country like India. And the other way, which I was telling Prayesh just before the session, was using the phygital model, wherein, as he was saying, in a relative new-aged banks, lot of processes, because there is no legacy of technology. There are 3 stages of AI in terms of digitization, lack of paper, etc. In some of these payment banks which are very digitally and technology heavy, or most of it, we've achieved the first 2 stages. Now, just to put a perspective, we open somewhere around 9 to 10,000 new banking accounts on a daily basis, and this is the reach which we have. And I can say there are other payment banks who open even more accounts on a daily basis. Humanly, it is not possible to do that in a manual way, how much ever fragmented and how much ever it is. So my personal sense is there is a lot of scope, broad basing, maybe cross-border no, but doing larger part, or maybe doing both sides of the balance sheet, is something which is being contemplated, or which can be really good in terms of the payment bank. Anyway, for us, we are, we've got an in-principle approval from the Reserve Bank of India to go into a small finance bank, and where we intend to operate on a digital platform as opposed to the erstwhile or brick and mortar business. That's where we are attempting to going towards.
Thank you. And when we talk about India, the first story which comes to mind is the digital public infrastructure which India has created. The UPI story, and UPI now we are exporting to the different parts. Then there is another technology called Moja Loop, which is also another open architecture similar to UPI. And many of the countries who don't want to use India story, they are getting onto the Moja Loop. But we are seeing that this integration is possible, but still making transaction is cumbersome. And before moving to AI, Ketan, if you can tell me that what needs to be done to fix it? And do you also feel the same way in the domestic market?
Yeah, so first things first. Sorry, is this a question to me?
But the question was
because I think public infrastructure wise and local, I mean, what you guys are doing is phenomenal. And honestly, public infrastructure wise, India has done a phenomenal job with UPI. I cannot speak more. It's crazy good. That's all I can say. The only problem is we need to solve, and UPI is being used in UAE also. There are a lot of other countries which are adapting, taking the technology that India has built and adopting in their respective countries. The only problem is the two infrastructures are not being connected. And if we can so much as solve this, and a digital bank such as what Fino is doing will go a long way in helping this cause, because it will set the foundation on which other things can be built. Now, just to give you a sense of how bad the problem is, Indians outside of India invest approximately $2 trillion anywhere across the globe. The percentage that comes to India is only 1%. Just 1%. That's it. That's around $20 billion, $25 billion that's your FDI. You increase it to 2%, your entire problem of FPI running away, your stock market falling, your rupee moving this way, that way, dollar up, down, will be sorted if you can get the Indians to go from 1% investment in India to 2% investment in India. That's it. How can you do that? You don't have to sell the India story. It's already sold. 90% of the time, people do not do business, send money to India is not because they don't believe in the India story. That's not the case. It's extremely cumbersome.
Thank you, thank you. Ketan, my question is still there.
Yeah, and we are going to have very interesting dichotomy of answers out here. Priyesh rightly said, the challenges which are vis-a-vis the global payment outlook or the global this thing. I'll just go back to the Bharat, where we cater to, and Bharat is definitely not the room where all of us are. Bharat is in the real rural India, and let me tell you, and which is what he was also saying, UPI has completely revolutionized. For a bank of our size, we approximately do, in FY26, 1 crore digital transaction in a day. So I am just reversing the question. If a digital transaction was as difficult, for a bank of our size may not be doing a 1 crore transaction. So I think it's changing. It's about the mindset and the pace. India being Bharat being a self-consumed economy, if we get the genesis right at the root cause of Bharat, I think adoption of all of this will further aggravate in a positive manner.
Priyesh, if I can talk about positive things about the technology. AI is transforming in various geographies, how underwriting happens or how wealth management happens and how people, even for health matters, people take advice from AI and then try to deploy it. But in a structured way, do you think that wealth management type of, complex subjects can be democratized, and people who may be, outside the ambit of the sophisticated wealth management and other, ambits can take, benefit out of it? What is your view on this?
Absolutely, yes. I think AI, will it revolutionize wealth management? Well, it already is revolutionizing wealth management. How? If you look at the wealth management journey or an investment journey of an individual, for simplification, let me put it in 3 buckets. One is the planning, the second is the execution, and the third and the most important and the most neglected part is the monitoring. So for the planning, I don't think any of us, and I'm guilty of the same, we do not do any planning whatsoever about what we want our money to do, what does it want to achieve, nothing. Well, guess what? You don't need to do that anymore. There is an AI agent, or there are AI agents, lovely AI agents who can do it for you. That's so much easier. You take their output, you do a quick review, you're good to go with the planning. Then investment side. Which human, let's say, how many parameters on a stock would you be analyzing? 5, 10, PE ratio, PB ratio, ROI, ROC, 5 ratios. Why can't you be studying 500 ratios? That's point number 1. And AI can do that for you. Second, how many stocks can you study before you can invest? Maybe 10, 20? If you are very avid, 50 stocks? Why not 5,000? That's where this comes. How many years or quarters can you study? Maybe 5 quarters, 6 quarters? Why not 50 quarters? Now you look at 5,000 stocks, you look at 500 parameters across 50 years of 4 quarters, so 200 results. How can a human do that? It's not possible. So therefore, it's imperative, it's compulsory. If you don't do that, you'll be left behind. And last but not the least, let's say you have made the investment. And then what? That's not the end of it. Making the investment, it's like Abhimanyu going into the Chakravyuh. You still need to come out of it. That's when, wherever you are, your AI, there are AI agents, very well built. We have built also, which will monitor it for you. They may not be 100% accurate, but it's better than your human monitoring process. It's an improvement on what we are doing today.
As a banker, Ketan, many of the things which he is telling us is very fascinating. But we also have to say that, AI is also developing by days. Now we are getting into agentic AI zone as well. Do you fear that, customers and stakeholders will start using many of these data sets and maybe, start negotiating or start investing into certain things, which somebody who doesn't have the access to sophisticated methods may not be able to judge, and then end up in creating a huge gap?
This is very interesting. I'll just go back when some of us when we were small kids. Some of the financial investments were mostly taken by चाचा मामा का कोई पहचान वाला है वो आके बताया ये अच्छा है ले लो etc. My personal sense, I am completely pro what he was saying, though I don't run AI like him, but it is going to improve not only the consumer experience, even the bank experience. I'll just draw a parallel out here from what he was saying it off. He said how we can dissect and bisect 5,000 companies instead of 50 companies, 50 quarters instead of 5 quarters. I'll just say that, and something which we put practical to use, or we are putting practical to use, is monitoring of frauds. Okay, there are some systems which we monitor. Now we are in the process of implementing the AI tools, and believe me, there is a very distinct difference in terms of TAT, in terms of identification, in terms of customer savings, the point which he alluded to, reduction of fraud. So I personally feel, rather than taking any wrong decisions etc., it eventually will help. But are we there? I don't think so we are there. Let us be very honest. In financial services, there is a huge need of adoption. First, financial services will adopt, and the infrastructure within the institutions be set, and eventually it will go towards a positive thing for the institution as well as for the individual. That's my view.
And my supplementary question to you is that when you knew that Priyesh is your next door co-panelist, you must have Googled his profile and went through that, what sort of work he does. What was the first thing which came to your mind, especially when you had a guy who is into AI, into a similar field? What was the first thing which came to your mind?
This is good. I personally feel that and again I have been a traditional banker earlier and now into a different kind of a banking. My personal sense is 5-10 years from now, every bank, okay, while some of the big boys, they have the legacy of technologies and have some challenges, need to integrate, or maybe have a in-house AI champion, may not be as high profile as Priyesh is, but someone who can drive it into everyday institutionalized process, etc. I think, according to me, and he rightly articulated it off, there is no second way. If banks and institutions who do not follow this will be left behind, and I don't think there will be anyone who will not follow. It's only about timing, how fast you follow, and some will follow with lag. So net, my first thing after saying is, and I asked him when we were sitting out there as well, what all they can do for us or something like that. So we do require, and currently I should confess,
so
we are doing something, but we do not have an in-house AI expert currently. We depend on people like him or entrepreneurs like him to do
Ketan,
that.
tell us what all he can do for you.
That we will have more conversation as it comes. He is slightly in a broader picture of global, and I currently run absolutely for Bharat, and according to me, Bharat also has a very good scope of getting it done.
But actually, his main business is in UAE and around that area, in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. There's a lot of AI, fascinating entrepreneurs coming forward. Priyesh, tell us, many of your peers must be doing innovation which you want to capture, that okay, I need to get into this technology, bring it and, build it up. And when you meet many of the CEOs like Ketan, what sort of ideas, click your mind?
Okay, so I am from IIT Delhi, so I have the privilege of working with some of my friends who are doing phenomenal job in the field. I think one of the panelists before me was my senior from IIT Delhi as well, so I could understand why he was talking so fluently about the AI security aspects. That's one. But I'll tell you something, what Ketan is doing, I can never do. That's hardcore brass tacks serving the rural population, the underserved people in India. No, I can do that. But he's creating the foundation on which somebody like us, like what Valura is doing, will be able to build something. But if he doesn't do what he's doing, and like he said, if the banks don't digitize, well, it's garbage in, garbage out. I can't do jack. I mean, if I run a model, and this is what happens, right? वो phone आता है, we have to move 25 lakh rupees to UAE for a payment and say, branch आ जाओ. Why? What do you mean branch आ जाओ? You're 2026, man. What AI model will you run when you say branch aa jao? So there is a lot that can be done. I think in terms of what Ketan does, there are a lot of very advanced, and not us, there are good people who are doing it in India with Indian language based LLMs. There are SDR models. So if there are people who are not responding, so banks, a lot of banks have this problem of dormant customers. You can make phone calls through SDR AI agents.
Priyesh, I have a slight different opinion about this thing. See, there are good bankers, there are bad bankers. There are good boards, there are bad boards. There are certain banks who are very, very aggressive on digitalization. I can name Bank of Baroda. I can name little bit of State Bank of India as well. These corporations are very aggressive and trying to do digitalization. Obviously, they are a big elephant, and making an elephant move requires a lot of effort. But if you can help us in technologies, to understand technologies, the innovation which is happening in those geographies which I have already mentioned, which can seed in the ideas into their minds. So I wanted to grab those.
Okay, I understand, and you are very right, because a lot of these banks, just because of the legacy systems that they run, they're not able to digitize that fast. I 100% agree. But there are things that they can pick up immediately. There are some very tedious processes around fraud detection, which takes a lot of time in a bank and delays the process a lot. Well, you know what? There are agents, and we run one of them, which can give you alerts on possibility of fraud. So it will boil it down to maybe 5% of the total number of cases. So you don't have to scrutinize every single case coming to you. You just scrutinize 5% on a scoring system. Then you have KYC and compliance. You will be amazed at the amount of time and effort that goes into people filling up forms and people reviewing those filled up forms. So if I have to move money cross-border, I have to fill 6 forms in India. It takes me 7 days to fill those forms because those are very difficult forms. Can an AI agent help? Absolutely yes. So I fill up the form, AI agent is helping, it is correcting live. Now it's going to the bank. What happens in a bank today? A manual guy sits, takes a printout, has a checklist, runs it. Can an AI agent do it? Absolutely yes. It's already doing it in UAE. You're helping people do that. You do this much, you would have improved 40-50%. In the meantime, you digitize your data, you're good to go. You don't need to do everything at one go.
Ketan, if I can add to this a bit, he's talking about the experience as a consumer, if I may ask you. If I tell you my recent conversation with people in BIS, which creates norm for all the central banks, they were telling me that they had done a research with FATF and others. You don't even require many of these KYCs, as per their norms. But RBI is using perhaps the older, norms and situations. In fact, the photo KYC, even if you have one document, it's good for BI. They just want to detect that somebody should not misuse it. Do you also encounter, many of these compliances? Do you also report back to RBI that, okay, boss, we need to modernize the things?
So there are 2 things. I think both of you guys are saying the 2 spectrums of the banking. I'll just say we claim, when I said that we open around 10,000 accounts on a daily basis, with these kind of processes, it is humanly impossible. So, I have been a hardcore banker not only in India but across. I have very high regards the way Reserve Bank of India is also progressing in terms of, making this simple at the same time advanced as well. We are a 140 crore plus this thing. We have, he will know that he mentioned about fraud, cyber challenges, etc. coming, the larger population. So I think the answer lies in both. Okay. There are various options of VKYC and other options as well, where you can start your accounts. As I said, we provide a perspective where VKYC is instantly done and a green pin is generated and someone can start using a debit card within a 20-minute on the spot. I mean, and this does not essentially happens in Mumbai, it happens in one of the villages, as well. So there are tools which are available, and will it completely change? Will it, lead to as much, the example which you are giving may not be now, but I think gradually with sophistication of tools coming in detection, we will go towards that, and that will be a process. I don't see it happening overnight.
Thank you, gentlemen. Actually, we ran out of the time, but I completely enjoyed the conversation, and I strongly believe that AI is the future, and the way India is moving is very encouraging, and a lot of new opportunities to not only do business but also to learn are emerging. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
I also believe Priyesh is the future. All the bankers have to get people like him coming towards for the AI.
Best of luck to you,
Thank you very much, Amrish. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen, for this discussion on the future of tech-led financial services. May I request India Today's managing editor, MG Arun, to please come to the stage and do the honors and present token of appreciation to our panelists.